throughout my life, I never saw really in some ways the value of school because it was never a place where I was encouraged to ask questions. In a classroom, what happens is you learn to ask the questions and answer questions that other people have decided are the correct ones. And so, you go into a class and it's just like, what's the answer? Just tell me what the answer is, right? It's like, it doesn't matter what the question is, just tell me what the answer is. And that's how many of you have gone through, most of you. I could almost venture to say all of you, unless you were homeschooled or went to some alternative school or something. But this is kind of how it works. That's the education system, right? It's like prison. So I detest that. So I don't like the fact that, we come in here and there are lots of rules in here, right? I mean, really are a lot of rules. So that sucks. Like, I'd rather not have that. But what I've learned over time is if I just give you these rules and then I give you this time right here in this room, just sit. You don't have to take notes. There's nothing that happens in here that you have to remember at all. If you're going to take if you're watching from home or you're watching a recording on the days when you decide you're not coming to class, then you have to remember long enough to answer the 4 questions that we lay out for you on the quizzes, right? That's how you're going to get your attendance points. Starting Monday, you're going to sign an attendance sheet in here, but from home, you answer those 4 questions. And those questions are really simple. They're like second grade level questions. If you're sitting in the room, you're going to answer them. So all you got to do is, you just have to have a decent enough memory that by the time we put the questions up, you're going to be able to answer them. And that's how you get your attendance points, right? Or you don't use attendance points because C's earn degrees and we're all going to die and the whole 9 yards. So who cares? But that's how you would do it, okay? So what I've learned is that I want to create a space where people are free to think, right? Just sit back and think and be sort of pulled into thinking. Not thinking like me, right? And definitely not thinking like me. If you're aware of it, you may know that I've been the darling of Fox News last summer. I was the persona non grata on Fox News for about a month. Like, Jesus, it was brutal. And then the summer before that, I was persona non grata among people on the left, right, who called me out because I'm racist and so on. Fox News called me out because I'm racist too. So I'm racist, I guess. If the right wing and the left wing both call you racist, I guess you're racist. So I guess I'm racist. So here we go. So isn't that awesome? You get to take a college course, the largest race and culture class in the world is taught by a racist, and you get to enroll in it. You know what I mean? And most of you are going to get A's because that's how this course operates. So you not only that, but you got an A in it. You got to explain, like, how'd you get an A in that? Well, I don't know what you're going to say. Okay, so I had the idea that I want to create an environment where people are free to just sit back and think. So not like me, not like anybody else, but my job is to provide, to provoke, to bring as many questions and ideas and thoughts into this classroom as I possibly can and see if we can get us to think about some things and give you the opportunity to do that. Now, mind you, you may be like me. If this was in my first 2 years of college, I probably would have been sitting, in the back somewhere for a few weeks, and then I just would have stopped coming because I was busy trying to be a rock and roll star, man. And I had bigger things to do. But also I didn't understand thinking inside of a room like this, and so I've decided that I'll put all these rules out. You just follow the rules, but in here you got to let your minds go, right? If you entered this semester like really conservative, by the end of the semester, I want to bring you into the liberal world, right? I want you to walk away saying like, man, I'm so much more liberal than I was. And if you entered this semester really liberal, like a social justice warrior or something, I don't know. I want you to leave the semester down here going like, you know what? Some of the stuff these conservatives are saying actually makes a lot of sense, right? When that kind of stuff happens, I really do my job because I confuse you into not really understanding what you say, and then you're like me, right? Remember, like you're as confused as I am, and confusion is a good thing, because through confusion we start to see things with greater clarity. But it's only through confusion, right? So that requires asking questions, and really, really asking questions. And like the what if questions, and like seeing, like walking over here and kind of seeing things. First off, just generating questions. We by and large don't know how to do that. And open-ended questions, not closed-ended questions, not questions that have a single answer to them, but questions that are like, how is it that? Or what does it mean that X, right? And, what are the conditions under which people do Y? Whatever it is, these open-ended questions that are just kind of out there. And questions that don't have answers. And none of the questions we ask in here have answers. They really don't. And, you may think that you have solid answers to some of the issues that we're going to talk about, but trust me, you don't. There are no solid answers. There's nothing. You know what I mean? We're in here wearing masks. I can make what I think to be a really strong, really awesome argument for wearing a mask. Like, of course, man. And I can just turn that and make such an awesome, I think, and strong argument for not wearing a mask. And so here we are. And like, I pride myself in my ability to just bounce around everywhere so that I don't even know what I think. Because no matter what I think, I come up with some other question to ask that throws what I used to think 10 seconds ago into like a tumult of sorts, okay? So we have to ask questions. So today's just going to be asking questions, rediscovering our questions. And I say rediscovering because all of us were 2 years old and 3 years old and really annoying little shits, always bothering the adults around us. So why is this? And why is that? And what about this? And why is that? And you know how little 3-year-olds do that, and they drive you nuts. And yet it's so awesome that they're just asking everything. Well, why? And why? And why? And why? And then somewhere along the line, we forget that. And where we forget it is about the time we get into first grade, and they start giving us little marks on these pieces of paper. Oh, Sam is a good student. He got the right answer. Not Sam is a good student. He asked a question that I've never thought of before. This little kid won't stop asking questions. He must drive you nuts at home, but it's so awesome that he's here asking endless amounts of questions. Like, this kid is really cool. It's like, no, it would be Sam, sit in the corner and shut the F up and just get the answer. And then once you start putting these little stars on my papers, I start thinking that that's the reward. And that's not the reward. The reward is getting to the end of your life and having some sense, maybe, of what the hell is going on in the world. Now, mind you, I haven't arrived there yet. I'm actually in the middle of this kind of end of midlife crisis that I feel like I'm dumber now than I've ever been. So I'm a little bit struggling with that, right? But nonetheless, I think I'm going to try to get there, right? Okay, so that's where we're at. That's where we're going to be, right? So just like last class, like that was like what happened at the end. So we had your two gentlemen, your two colleagues here, who hunt. And someone asked, which is a cool question, isn't that kind of barbaric? Like, you got the blood of these animals on your hands. And like, yeah, it is kind of barbaric. And I was thinking about one time, when I was I was living in Ecuador, and we were gonna have rabbit stew. Okay, rabbit stew, right? Okay, chicken stew, rabbit stew, and we went to the market, and we picked out the rabbits, and they're alive, right? And they're really cute bunnies, right? I don't know. Can you pull up a bunny? Just like a really nice photo of a bunny, so everyone kind of gets the sense of what this really means, and this is a market. This is an Ecuadorian market. So those of you who, you don't have to have been to an Ecuadorian market to know what I'm talking about, but you get it, right? And so we pull these bunnies out. We take them back to the house. It's like, okay, well, someone's got to kill them, right? Because we're going to eat them. So I'm like, well, shit. I'll kill him. I got to kill him. Like, I hadn't killed a bunny before, and I'm going to eat it. And so I'm going to have to kill these things. And so, I did what I would do and say like a little inner prayer to the bunnies and then I killed them, right? Oh, yeah. Dude, that's probably about what they look like too, man. Can you imagine killing that, right? But if I gave you a bowl of rabbit stew and said, hey, try this stew, most of you would never see that. You wouldn't have a problem eating rabbit stew. Just like chickens are really cool. Chickens are cool, man. They're cute. They're cool. You eat chickens? So I killed it, broke its neck, skinned it, and ate it. And I felt like I owe that. I owe that to life itself. I owe that to the Creator, the circle of life. Life eats life. If I'm going to eat life, then I'm going to have to take life, right? And so I think, I think of all the times that I walked into a supermarket, let's say, and here's all the meat. Maybe not bunnies, but other meats, and then I just, pick up a package and I throw it in a cart. And I think, and I know nothing about that animal. I don't know. I don't even think about the fact that animal was raised in a factory farm and suffered its entire life. Just horrific conditions. And I don't even think about it. And I think the blood is on my hands there, far more so than when I took the life of two little cute bunnies. Right? And so this is what this class is about. It's not, you don't have to agree with me. It doesn't really matter. My point is never to get you to agree with me, but my point is to push you. So, and if someone said, we don't have time right now, but if one of you said like, yeah, but what about this? My job is to take you by the throat, metaphorically, hold you up against the wall, and just hold you there and keep throwing things at you until you're so confused that you don't know what you think anymore. And that's when I let you down. That's when I win. Because now you have to go figure it out on your own. And I don't care what you think. You can then turn around and say, Sam Richards is a complete evil shit for killing two bunnies. Or you could do anything at all. It doesn't really matter. I don't care. But I want you to change how you're thinking. That's it. Just change how you're thinking. Because changing thinking is good. So my job is to be provocative enough. And if I can then be provocative enough to get you to the place where you think that, yeah, next time you eat rabbit stew, you should go kill the bunny. That's pretty cool. Doesn't mean you're going, it doesn't matter. It just means I've got you. You've got me. We're all in this. And to see that the world is really complicated and it's an awesome place, the more complicated it is.